Mine's 7 years.
7 years. You're going to be here a long time. Morning, James.
Morning, Governor. How are you?
Yeah.
A phone call to the family or somebody. I usually phone them. It's for the week.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
Next.
Full board and lodging in this room costs £700 a week. That's over £36,000 a year. There are over 600 people in cells like this here in Mountjoy Jail. We put them here to punish them and to take them out of circulation. But is that all we want, or do we also hope that prison will somehow change them? Some crimes are most unlikely to be repeated. This prisoner is serving a life sentence for murder. But what about this young man serving his 7th sentence? Will he be back? Acquiring a skill like learning to cook may help this woman to stay out of trouble when she's released. And for now, the food and rest are keeping this HIV victim alive. But for these drug addicts, the future is uncertain. Can prison help them to avoid a return to crime? Or will they be back? John Lonergan is governor of Mountjoy Prison. He's been 25 years in the service. He's known many of today's prisoners since they were 12 years old.
The vast numbers in our community are very lucky to be born into what they are born into. But unfortunately, a small but significant minority are born into circumstances that are atrocious and completely anti-Christian.
You told me about a rhyme that a young fellow wrote on a wall in Loughlin House. Do you remember that?
Yeah, this guy who came from a well-known but also a deprived area of Dublin used to write his epitaph really on the dormitories in Shangana, as it happened. But what he wrote up was, "My name is Mousy O'Brien and I come from the hill, never worked and never will." And I think for many of the people that we deal with, that would still be a fairly accurate reflection and insight into the way they think, the way they are treated, and the prospects they have.
Because of the devastating effects of crime, many groups in society are demanding more prisons. But can prisons in themselves bring down the level of crime?
Once in prison, it is my experience that society simply forgets about people that are in prison. They're behind high walls, they're out of sight, out of mind. And that's the way they remain, and that's the way society wants it to be. So there's an expectation that you can reform people in isolation, safely away behind high walls, and eventually, through some miracle, reintegrate them back in society where they have a respect for that society, where they respect the laws of that society, and where they are now miraculously changed to be able to live a normal life, a law-abiding life. It's just not on. It just doesn't work like that.
Mountjoy Prison was built in 1850 as a short-term holding prison for 350 people. Today, it's impossibly overcrowded with over 600 prisoners. The sentences range from 1 day to 18 years and life imprisonment, and the crimes from not buying a television license to armed robbery and murder. Educational facilities in Mountjoy are very restricted, but preference is given to long-term prisoners. This man passed his leaving cert here, and he's now studying for Open University.
I do tons of reading. I actually go around begging for the fellas on the land for comics even. If I want a break, like I might be studying all week, and I might say Wednesday or Thursday night. I want to go on reading this evening. I look for something else. I'll go out and look for comics, or I look for books, short stories that I can get into. You know,
You said you were interested in religion when you were in school. Are you a religious person now?
I am, but I don't go to mass. It's not that I've no time for the church. I've great time for the church. But personally, I don't feel I should be in. I belong to church on account of what I'm in over. And I find that I feel a hypocrite if I'm in mass and I'm going up to collect communion. I don't feel like there's an awful lot of bitterness. I know people are bitter, and like I necessarily haven't done anything on Saint members of the community outside, but they hold an awful lot of bitterness and resentment for a person like me. The fact that I've killed somebody doesn't go down particularly well with anybody. And I go to a church and the priest says to me, God forgives you, we forgive you, we love you, and all this. It doesn't help me feel any better, because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the radio and I'm hearing these people turning around saying they deserve to be hung, they deserve to die, throw them away, forget about them. You can make excuses for everything and anything, but in the end it comes down to how responsible are you? You know, and I feel I have a child, I have a wife, they like me, they love me, they think about me. I have in-laws that care for me, but
You can't forgive yourself.
well, it's not a case that I can't forgive myself. I can't believe that I want to live a good life, but at the same time I know nothing I do now, no matter how much I help myself, come the day of judgment, I'm stuck. I believe that, like, the Bible, I've read the Bible, it's a good book, it's enjoyable, especially in the evening time if you've nothing to read. But I can't find forgiveness. If it was me and somebody done that on me, on my family, I wouldn't forgive them, and I wouldn't be too, like, I'd want to get revenge. I think a person that can turn around and accidentally or with meaning take away somebody's life has every reason to feel shame. Like, I'm paying me that, but that's nobody's getting any good out of me paying my debt. So I'm not helping the family of the person I killed. I'm most definitely not helping my own family. I'm making all them suffer every day while I'm still here. I can come out after a couple of years, good behaviour. I can try and build my life again with my family and try and catch up on things that we've missed out on. But at the same time, come the anniversary, you're coming in here and you're sentencing. You're sitting in your cell at night behind the locked door and you're thinking, this is the day I came out, what did I come out for? And you start thinking about that family and how that family was coping.
A study of Mountjoy by Dr. Paul O'Mahony found that half of the prisoners were under 25 years of age and 3/4 under 30, mostly from poor families with an average of 8 children, low educational achievement, high unemployment, and from urban areas that get plenty of adverse publicity.
The media often reflects really how a certain group, an influential and significant group in society would see prisoners. And I mean, laterally, the trend is thugs, animals, gurriers, and then them. They're causing all sorts of trouble for us. And it was related to me not so long ago, where a person stated that we try to transport them, we try to execute them, we try to imprison them, but they are still with us. The them being the people from the community who commit crime and who cause some trouble. And that's, I think, very much the way it's seen, that it's them, some group that are not really part of us, when in fact that all people in society are society people. They all come from homes within society, from streets, from communities. But society likes to exonerate itself. It must to in some way do something for its own conscience about the whole matter. So the only way they can exonerate themselves and distance themselves from it, I think, is to, whatever the sins of society, is to call for revenge, to call for more punishment, more imprisonment, and get them out of sight and out of mind. And where better to put people out of sight and out of mind than into prison?
The Whittaker Committee report recognised that despite its enormous cost, prison just doesn't work as a deterrent or as a means of rehabilitating people. In any 1 year, a quarter of those committed to prison will have already served more than 5 sentences. This young man has spent most of his adult life in prison. He started drinking when he was 8 years of age. Older boys who had robbed a pub started him off.
This was me, about me 7 or 8 sentence, prison sentence. My first sentence was in 1984.
Yeah. Can you remember back to the first time you came to jail?
The first time I came into jail was in, as I said, 1984. I was in the St. Patrick's Institution. The first night I came in, I didn't know, the whole prison was just completely noisy to me, and I was terrified. I was genuinely terrified.
How old were you?
I was just gone 16 years of age. And it was my first sentence, and I was the minute I was put into a cell, I didn't know, I was just, geez, where the hell am I, you know, what am I doing, right? And I was there for about an hour, and I cried, I cried my heart out. I genuinely did. I cried my heart out, and I begged and I pleaded with God, and I was like, give me one more chance, let me out, please, and I'll never rob again. You know, and I don't know, but I firmly believe myself that if I had been released, that I wouldn't have robbed, that I'd never robbed again, you know. But once the day went by, I got to see fellas that I knew from the area, and then I got a radio off one of them, and I started to mingle with them, and then prison didn't turn out to be that bad after all, you know what I mean? After 2 or 3 weeks went by, this is grand, I can handle to do jail, no problem. I'm one of the lads, I'm great, you know what I mean? I'm flying there now, you know? I settled in, and then when I got out, I was on an ego buzz then, you know what I mean? I thought I was untouchable, you know?
You were a hard man.
Yeah, I thought I was a hard man, and I was on an ego buzz. Running around cool, looked like a lunatic, robbing cars from Malahide and everything, you know, running amok, getting chased by the police, then bang, back into jail again, you know what I mean, in 1985. And, like, it was always to drink. Like, drink was the source of my problem.
So from the time when you were 16, you've had a pattern of being in prison, getting out, doing it, robbing again, is it?
Well, my whole life, in the environment I grew up in, right, and my whole life revolved around crime, you know, like, I grew up with criminals, you know, I grew up into a way of life where I only knew criminals, and the only people I got to know were criminals, you know, and the only people that had time for me were criminals, you know, or thieves, you know, like, and it was a way of life then, you know what I mean, and it was great. It was like robbing for me was a compulsion in the alcoholic sense, and I thrived on it, you know what I mean, because I loved it, you know what I mean. I actually did at the time. And I'm not speaking now, you know what I mean, that's the way I feel now. Like, I feel completely different now, you know what I mean. But my outlook at that time, in 1984, 85, 86 and 87 and 88, my outlook there was that I loved it, you know what I mean, booting around in cars, doing smash and grabs, you know, running around the country like a lunatic, you know, robbing boutique shops and what have you, you know. Like, I thrived on it, I loved the excitement in it, you know what I mean, but I was always drunk, you know, and, like, most of the times I got away. But 9 out of 10 times I got away. But that one time I always get caught, and I was always sent to prison because it was always a serious charge, you know.
Social contact with other prisoners can lead to a further commitment to crime. Young offenders learn new skills from older, more experienced inmates.
Prison to me doesn't rehabilitate you, and it doesn't work as a deterrent. It never did and never will, you know. And it's just down to the individual whether he wants to stop robbing or not. You know, that's my opinion. You know, like, I can only speak for myself. But you have to rehabilitate yourself. You know what I mean? And the only way you can rehabilitate yourself is to conquer whatever it is that compels you to steal. And that's my drinking addiction. You know, so I have to conquer that problem. And it's only me that can do it, along with the help from AA. So I have to do it. You know? But now I do feel, when I look back over the years of the people I hurt, I only, like, what can you say?
Statistically speaking, the typical prisoner in Mountjoy will have been in trouble with the law before he was 16. He'll probably have spent time in St. Patrick's Institution, and on average, he'll have accumulated 9 sentences to prison.
A big number of people who find prison as part of their culture, part of their way of life, would frequent prison quite frequently in their late teens up to their late 20s and early 30s. And after that, they seem to just disappear. Whether it is that they mature and become law-abiding citizens, or they get tired of going to prison, or they get tired of crime, or whatever, they have